games that are highly replayable, right? So replayability, and some of it is going to be subjective because there's so many genres of games out there, and it depends what genre are you into, right? But I'm gonna go over games for me that are highly replayable. I'm gonna talk about more like in the future, right? Like a part 2, a part 3 type video. So the first one here is going to be actually Stranglehold. So John Woo's Stranglehold, right? It is basically just like Max Payne. The reason why it is so replayable for me because it is very easy game to get into, very easy, right? You know, there's basically tons of enemies, and what makes it like Max Payne is that it has a bullet time, slow motion kind of sequence, and it is a very fun action shooter, right? It does lack some of the stuff like polish. It does lack some level of design, right? But it is super fun and super easy to get into, right? You're obviously outgunned and outmatched, right? But with you get dual wield weapons, assault rifle, shotguns. It is super fun to get into, and you can always replay each level. And for example, there's certain bosses or sequences or traps that you can go back to. Another one for me is going to be Returnal. So this is going to be kind of like a weird pick, but a Returnal is very replayable, mainly because of the arcade mode. Atropos Towers, right? So Atropos Towers is a very fun arcade mode. Where once you like in the main game, once you are defeated the third boss or the second boss, you unlock Atropos Tower. So it is basically kind of like a wave mode of you fight all the enemies, like in the main game, all the different enemies, right? Except for the bosses, right? But different enemy types, and it's like a wave. It's a kind of like stage, like a series 1, then series 2. Every series has like a 20 different stages, and it is very fun. You can pick up perks, customize. You pick up different weapons with different customizables on it. For example, firing rate, damage, etc. You upgrade health, right? And the I want to call it again, the adrenaline rate or whatever. So yeah, it is super fun to play through. Just the weapons in the game, and all the weapons that you have unlocked up until this point, that point like in the game, you can use. And the weapons are so fun. The game is very fast paced. So because of that, it is highly replayable for me. Another one now is going to be Detroit Become Human. So Detroit Become Human. So basically, it's like an interactive movie style game, right? I made a video about this game last week, right? But it is like in terms of the decisions, and with these games, the choices you make in certain areas, they affect at the outcome, right? There's like a flow chart, right, per each chapter, and the flow chart shows you different outcomes or different kind of exploration or dialogue options or approaches that you could have chosen. And there's 3 different characters, so there's even more choices in this one, right? And just so you can play the game, it is replayable. You can play the game once on a certain like a pathway, right? You can play it kind of safe or play it more hostile, right? Or etc. Be more a neutral, right, or understanding. But you can play it safe at the first playthrough, play it again, right, on a different pathway, right, and it is also replayable because just the dialogue and the character, the emotions like in the character, it is delivered so well here, right, and one of the best interactive movie style games, definitely. Another one's gonna be Spider-Man 2018. Now, it depends, right, if you're into like superheroes or not, but this is probably the perfect superhero game outside of the Batman Arkham kind of a trilogy. Spider-Man 2018, and this is the perfect adaptation of Spider-Man. There's so many versions out there of Spider-Man. Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, the animated Spider-Man, etc. But this is my favorite version of Spider-Man. Just replaying, for me, it is highly replayable. Just replaying it again, even that first opening kind of Kingpin bust mission, it is super fun to play through that mission, introducing you to Spider-Man. You feel like you are living through, kind of a New York City as Spider-Man, right? The side missions, the quest, the struggles he goes through, right? Kind of a balancing between being Spider-Man and Peter Parker. It is super fun to play through. One of the most common PS4 games as well. Another one's going to be Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. The 2010 one, plus as well as the remastered. Now this is highly replayable. It is for me. It is my favorite a racing game of all time. Just it is replayable because you can play as cop, play as racer, and each kind of side has its own progression system, right? So you progress the kind of you're upgrading stuff like kind of well, the game upgrades stuff like EMP power ups, turbo power ups, spike strip power ups, roadblock power ups, etc. So it is very fun, and a different there's a different types of missions or races, right? Whether it be time trials, rapid response races, kind of a regular races, a race hot pursuit where there's a race and literally the cops are after you, or vice versa where you are the cop chasing on the racer. And just every second of it is super fun. It does kind of have some weird hit detection, like when you hit other the cars of others. It is a little bit weird, but I tell you, like the sound design, the graphics, and just replaying it again to unlock the newer tiers of cars, right? For example, no, the more exotic tiers, the McLarens, Paganis, the Koenigseggs, Lamborghinis. It is super fun, and multiplayer as well, but highly a replayable game. Another one's gonna be Guardians of the Galaxy. This one's gonna be a little controversial, right? But Guardians of the Galaxy, I find it very replayable because I'm a big fan of the Marvel kind of Guardians movie, right? So the James Gunn Guardians movie, and this one kind of takes obviously a lot of inspiration from that. Now, some of the characters, the iterations like of the characters, they're more comic accurate here, right? Slightly more, so it's going to be a different kind of version. It's going to be slightly different than what you expect to see like in the MCU. But it is highly replayable. Just replaying it again, you only play as Star-Lord, and seeing everything like through his point of view and the dialogue, the chemistry between the characters like Rocket Raccoon, Gamora, Drax, it just goes so well together. And it's like you're watching on the movie, but you're playing it as a game, right? And you can there's certain moments where you can choose the dialogue, right? You can choose a dialogue, or certain choices that but yeah, it is very fun. And Rocket, a raccoon, and Star Lord always going at each other. It is so the dialogue, they did like an amazing job with it. The gameplay as well is pretty fun. Replaying it again to kind of unlock to find all those uniform collectibles was pretty fun. Another one's gonna be Mercenaries 2. Mercenaries 2. This is a game I remember playing like probably 10, 15 years ago, right? And I still play it. But this one, every time I play it, it's so fun. The replayability kind of like this sandbox of like this military kind of open world shooter, right? It is very fun. You can call down airstrikes. You can go in helicopters. You can go in attack boats, tanks, APCs, and crazy. This at the level of fun like in this game is crazy. And what makes it replayable as well is the factions. So the factions, right? There's what 8 factions in the game, or 7 factions. China, allied nations, the Universal Petroleum, the guerrilla forces, the pirates, etc. Right? And each faction is kind of a unique, like in its own way. They can offer you different stockpile drops, different inventory. They have different missions, allegiances, etc. And you can choose this. Yeah, you can choose a decide with certain factions. And for example, there's like a part like in the game where you can choose the allied nations or China, right? So you can choose a side with either side. For example, the cutscenes change, and the inventory, like for example, the stockpile inventory that you get from each of them is different, right? So yeah, it is pretty cool. But there's a level of destruction, from the airstrikes like in the game, and yeah, super cool, super fun. Last one's gonna be Rayman Legends. All right, as with, I guess you could add Crash Bandicoot to this as well, but as with any kind of platformer, a a big planet as well. You can go back and kind of perfect each level, try and go back and get each so many of the collectibles, etc. With Rayman Legends, right? Has Rayman Legends, I guess, origins too as well. It has, like, for example, levels that will collapse, where the world is collapsing around you, and then you gotta kind of maneuver your way through it. And yeah, you can always you always go back and to find those blue creatures. I can't remember what they're called, and the more of them you find, the more closer you are to perfecting each level, right, within a level. So yeah, it is very, very, very fun, and different playable characters with different kind of, attack patterns in it. It is pretty fun. So yeah, our replayable games. Like and subscribe. Thank you.